Sup peoples, and welcome back to another video. Today I am starting another Project Eros vlog. I've started some pretty major changes to my initial plan, so it felt like a good time to start up a new one. If you watched the last vlog, which I will link up above, there's not too much to catch up on because that was the first one this vlog series, but just in case you didn't, I'll just lay out some things here. I started my contemporary romance novel. If you're wondering about the Band-Aid, it's because I sliced my finger earlier. So typing's been fun. Anyway, that's different. We're off to a great, very rambly start. You can tell what kind of vlog it's going to be. November 2023. I begin my contemporary romance novel, codenamed Project Eros. It's going good. I write like 40,000 something words. It's not 50,000, but it's pretty close for my first ever NaNoWriMo, my first like major novel progress since I mostly write comic books. I'm thrilled. I then get really creatively burnt out and I take like 2 months off of writing. Come back in February, and the vlog that I will link up here is February and March. I make a lot of progress. I start draft 2, I fix some pacing issues. I'm very happy with the progress I'm making. I'm like, draft 2 is gonna be awesome. Draft 2 is a little bit stressful because it's difficult, but I'm overall happy with the progress that I made. Then I end that vlog, I post it, like draft 2, time to continue, and now we're on to draft 3. See, that sounds like progress, but when you know what I know about what draft 3 means, it doesn't sound like progress anymore. Basically, for some people, draft 3 might mean I finished draft 2 and now I'm going to go over it and do some editing and adjustments. For me, that means I got so far into draft 2 that I realized there was another mistake that I had to fix that was big, and then I had to start all over again, so I'm just going to call this draft 3, quit on draft 2 partway through, and go back to the beginning. With draft 1, I got all the way up to chapter 19. I wrote half the book. Draft 2, I got about halfway to that point again. I only got to chapter 12. This time, I'm starting over all over again. However, I have replotted, I have replanned, and I think I'm actually going to have this be the last draft. Basically, what I did was I was writing draft 2, and I was like, this is great. And then I realized that there were these 2 subplots I had introduced that weren't in the initial outline of the story. And as I was going through, sort of like matching everything up to the outline, I was like, wait, these 2 subplots that I added in after making the outline aren't in the outline, so they're getting sidelined, but I do think that they're important to the story. So draft 3 started with I spent a week re-outlining everything. But basically, I added some chapters on to allow for more of this subplot to be explored. I took all of the information from my initial chapter breakdown, which was fairly detailed. I actually wrote out every single scene that was supposed to happen and all of the big emotional beats that were supposed to happen in those scenes. So it was like a 0 draft almost. Then, for draft 3, I re-outlined all of that, basically. I took all of the scenes from before because I still was using a lot of them, but then I shifted some things around for pacing purposes, and I also shifted some things around to allow space for these new subplots to take their time and be included. And so now my book, which was going to be 39 chapters, including the epilogue, is now going to be 46 chapters, including the epilogue. Not that much more, but I'm much happier with the pacing and the structure of it now. If you watched the last vlog, you'll know that I was talking a lot about what does a chapter mean for me, and the structure is throwing me off, and the pacing is bad. I think I've solved that, because initially I was being sort of just like, the structure is happening, like I was just sort of pantsing it. But now I've actually been very methodical about my structure. So the way it's going to work now is initially each chapter was like assigned to a different month, but I didn't really know how I wanted to present that in the novel. Now the novel is going to have 4 distinct parts: autumn, winter, spring, and summer. And I'm much happier with that because it gives me sort of like this space to work around. It makes me think about the pacing because I'm like, okay, well, this takes place over the course of several months, so that would go in that section, and this would go in that section. And it made me have to structure it a little bit differently, and I'm really happy with that. So before, how it was just sort of chapters are chapters, now each part of the novel, so let's like break down autumn because they all work the same. Let's say autumn, okay? We open, there's autumn part 1, autumn part 2, and autumn part 3. Each of those is 4 chapters long. To the reader, you won't see that bit. You'll just see this is part 1, autumn. To the writer, I see each thing categorized into part 1, part 2, and part 3. So that each part of the novel and each season basically has a distinct arc. So like, let's say for part 1, we have the beginning of the romance, we have the friendship forming, and then we have the culmination of that, the sort of like climax of this little mini arc, which is when the character asks the other character out. And each of those gets its own little 4-chapter segment. So each of those like emotional beats of the story. And I did that for every single part. So this way, there's this like clear structure, and so that every single season, every single part of the novel has a clear goal and distinct sections, so that it feels like I basically structured it like I do my comic books. My comics, there are 3 6-issue sections that go into a larger 18-issue section. So happy I did this. I wish I'd done it in the beginning. It could have saved me a lot of time, but I'm happy with it now. And then I went through, and for every single chapter, I lined up all of the plot beats that were supposed to take place and every scene that was going to happen in that chapter. And then basically what I'm doing is I'm going through and I'm rereading all of the chapters I've already written and making adjustments, making sure they all line up, changing anything that I noted that needed to be changed for this draft. And then once it's done, I mark it as done. I record its finished word count, and then I mark it with a little A or a little B, depending on whose perspective it is from. Most of the novel is from Aaron's perspective, he's my protagonist, but some of the novel is from Barry's perspective, and he is the love interest. So I've done 4 chapters so far. I've been able to do like a chapter a day. But yeah, that's basically the update. That's what's been going on right now. I'm actually about to do a bit of writing now, potentially. I'm hoping to do chapter 5 and chapter 6 today because I didn't have time to do 1 chapter yesterday, so I'm hoping to catch up by doing 2 chapters today. And since they're both just rereads, I'm hoping that that's possible. I don't really know though, because some of the chapters are a lot longer. Chapter 5 is like 3,000 something words, like 3,500 words, which is my average. They tend to be between 3,000 and 4,000 words. And then chapter 6 is, chapter 6 needs major modifications because it's only 1,800 words. I hate stumbling upon these weird little short chapters that shouldn't be that short. Although honestly, why shouldn't it be that short? Like, do they all have to be the same length? I just read Solitaire. I was gonna do a reading vlog about it, but it's like, I don't have enough to say about it. Not because it's bad, but just because it feels more like an experience. Like, I can't really explain it more than it was just a feeling that it gave me. And like, I don't know how to talk about, like, make a whole video about a feeling. I'm considering at the end of like the year maybe doing like a video like everything I read this year, and then I could talk about Solitaire. But I don't think it has like a 30-minute video of me talking about a feeling. It was a very good book. I'd probably give it like 4 stars. It felt like I was in a fever dream every time I picked up the book. And that was cool, but I'm also really affected by stories, and it was a pretty heavy story, and I sort of got really bummed out every time I read it. In like a good way, in like a this is a really heavy story way. I don't know. See, this is why I didn't make a video on it, because I don't know how to explain it. It felt like a feeling, and I don't know how to put that feeling into words. Surreal and fever dream are the closest I can get. I am definitely going to read some more Alice Oseman books though, because that one was really good. Hopefully I've caught you up to speed and been coherent, because if I was totally ununderstandable, like not understandable, that would be a bummer. But yeah, I'm gonna just get some writing stuff done, I suppose. And I will see you in the next clip, whenever that happens. It might be a couple days, because I am going to a convention this weekend, and I'm going to be busy. Now, I said that I might be busy for the next couple days, but I had no idea how busy. Or even that a couple days was quite the understatement. The rest of April flew by, and so did a lot of May. I honestly did not write for a long time. My April word count was nothing. Sure, I edited a couple chapters, but I was not nearly as productive as I wanted to be, and I didn't actually add to my word count at all. I had a lot of fun. The convention was awesome. I'd never had an experience like that before where I was seriously surrounded by people with the same interests as me. I've only ever met people who were that into Star Wars online, and even though I was shy and didn't talk to anyone, it was just cool to be surrounded by that atmosphere. Plus, I got to meet some idols of mine and get their autographs, which just like made my day. And now I'm a Funko Pop collector, like hardcore. Maybe I'll show you my new collection sometime. But while April and May were a lot of fun, I was not nearly as productive as I wanted to be. And so we pick up the vlog over a month later, with me trying my very hardest to get back on track. I need a snack. Technically, my mom and sister are shopping right now to get lunch, but like, it's already 1 and I haven't eaten anything since breakfast. The reason they're out shopping though is just because there's like nothing in the house to eat. What's this? When did you expire? It has not expired yet. I don't know what this is. So it's been a while since I've seen you. I don't know if this is good or bad. I'm sorry for the really bad lighting. The film quality is probably terrible. Yeah, I'm blurry. Let's find somewhere the lighting isn't as terrible. So far on draft 3, I'm now up to chapter 10. It's just been editing to this point. I, with draft 3, decided to change from past tense to present tense. I've always sort of struggled with tense. It was supposed to be written in present tense, but my instinct is to write it in past tense. So then it was just in like past and present, and it wasn't working. It wasn't good, and I didn't really notice it until this go through. So I'm going through this time and I'm fine-tuning my tense mistakes and fixing those up, and also just like editing little things about the story until I get to the point where from chapter 13 onward I'm going to be doing major structural edits, and that means I'm going to be rewriting most of the story. So I'm hoping today to do a massive writing sprint and do chapter 10, 11, and 12. So this week, because it's Sunday right now, so this week starting on Monday, I can start working on the major restructuring. I think that's catching you basically up to speed. I have a lot of writing to do is basically what it's all about, and I decided to bring you along because of that, because I figured bringing you along for the biggest writing day would make sense. Hopefully this will be the last clip of the vlog. I know there hasn't been too much happening. It's mostly just been me like talking about the fact that I'm not making progress or need to redo things. Because the last one was the end of draft 2, this one is the beginning of draft 3, and then I figured the next Project Eros vlog could be sort of like me beginning work on the big restructural edits. So hopefully this will be the last day of the minor structural edits. Fingers crossed. That weird cereal thing I ate was not good. It tasted weird and it had a weird texture. Once in a while when we order groceries, they'll throw something free in. That's probably what that was. I don't think anyone in this household would buy that. I think the problem is just that like we're like a gluten-free household, so sometimes when they send weird gluten-free things for us to try, it just does not work. Although I did have some gluten yesterday and it was really good. That stuff's no joke. I see why most people eat it all the time. Okay, let's actually do some writing. Okay, sorry, I was just checking the tracking lock. Oh, okay, I can't wear those right now because of the ring light. So, I have bangs today. I don't know why. My hair has been not having bangs for like a month and a half. But today I just woke up and I had bangs and they don't look very good. And we're just ignoring my current appearance. 'Cause it's Sunday and I was out. Well, actually no, I wasn't out yesterday. Okay, I have no excuse except for the fact that it's Sunday and I'm wearing a giant hoodie and just let me be comfortable. Anyway, I'm about to start writing. I cannot show you the screen, unfortunately, but I'll just tell you the setup that I have. Basically, in the last segment, I talked to you about my Notion setup, I believe. So you should have details on that if you want to go back, reference, etc. I have my Notion up so that I can see all of the, what is it? It's trying to lock onto the mannequin in the background, see? Creepy. Okay, it's like, I know that's a face. It's not a real face. Focus on my face. I'm much prettier than the mannequin. Well, actually, that might not be true. Okay, I'm not prettier than the mannequin, but the camera should still focus on me. Yes, sorry, I'm so rambly. I haven't written in a couple days, and I'm just stalling. It's always daunting to get back to it, you know? I took off a couple days for good reasons, though. Friday, I had a prom, and I spent my usual writing time at that. Saturday, I filmed a bunch of YouTube videos, as in 2, and Thursday, I had a Dungeons & Dragons game. So it's just been busy. But today we're getting back to it. Today we're gonna do things and be productive. Yes, I have my Notion up, I have my draft 2 document up, and then I also have my draft 3 document up. I basically copy and paste the chapter out of my draft 2 document into the draft 3 document, and then I check the Notion, which has all my notes for what I'm going to be changing, and then I go through in the draft 3 document and I rewrite and I do all those changes. It's pretty straightforward. Spend maybe like the next hour getting the rest of chapter 10 and maybe chapter 11 done. I already started on chapter 10. It's a pretty big pivotal moment. It's like the moment in the story, one of them at least. And my goal is to finish that one and hopefully get some of draft 11 done. And draft 11, oh goodness, I don't even want to think about that step yet. Hopefully there won't need to be a draft 11. Chapter 11, I'm sorry, words are not wording today. And then tonight I can do chapter 12, maybe, because I usually write at night. But today we're doing it in the morning and in the night because I'm feeling productive. I'm sorry, just that made it so much better. I'm just gonna start writing now. All right, so the next step is I just finished rewriting chapter 10. Now I go into my tracker on Notion. I go into chapter 10 and I mark it with a red A, which means it is from Aaron's perspective. Now, and then I mark it as done, and I go in and I copy, paste the whole chapter. Well, not copy paste, but just like I highlight it. And I go into tools because I write in Google Docs, and I go to word count, and it is 3,154 words of the total of 34,298 words that I so far have in this draft. And then I write down the words. And then I check what's going to happen in chapter 11. Okay, so I go in here, I go here, and then I copy and paste all of chapter 11. Oop. And I put it in here. And then take my little thingy, and I go chapter 11, right at the top. And then I begin editing. Now, part of why I haven't been writing as much as I would like to is that I've been really, really insecure about this book. I do not write contemporary. This is my first time. I don't write romance. I'm really enjoying it, but it's also really out of my comfort zone. It's been really stressful for me because of that. Like, I don't know how to judge it really, because I also don't read contemporary, so I have nothing to compare it to. For that reason, I've decided to start reading some more contemporary romance. As soon as I'm done Gideon the Ninth, I plan to read some contemporary. Basically, I don't know. I was planning to not hire an editor because they're expensive, but I've decided that what I'm actually going to do is draft 1 is the first draft, I just get the ideas down. Draft 2 was structural edits. Draft 3 is, in this case, is more structural edits and also finishing the entire book. Gonna have the whole thing. Then draft 4, I'm hoping, will be going through and fine-tuning, and then I want to hire an editor, send it off, have them professionally edit it, and then do a draft 5 based on their critiques. I am thinking it'll be worth it because it's my first novel. I really wanted to avoid it if I could, but I think it'll be worth it. If you want to see what my writing looks like unedited though, I post short stories every Friday on my Ko-fi now. They are free. I know they're on Ko-fi, and technically Ko-fi is to get donations, but I post them for free, and donations are optional, just if you want to help me fund my comic project and other projects. But yeah, I don't edit them. I just sort of sit down for a couple hours and I write one, and it's a lot of fun, and then I post it. So you'll be able to tell what my draft 1s look like if you want to check that out. I currently have 3 short stories up, but I think I should have maybe 4 or 5 by the time this vlog is going out. No, I think I'll have 4 by the time this vlog is going out. I don't know what the next one is yet, and I haven't written it. But so far, I have One More Mile, which I like conceptually, but I think could use a little bit of work. It's more like, it's not what I usually write. It's like no plot, just vibes. And for that, I think the vibes are cool. But I want to do some plot fixing. I'm thinking that if these stories do good, and I like them, I might one day edit them and put them into a little short story collection. So that's why I'm saying, like, I might edit it one day. Then I have Footsteps, which was me processing my feelings on the Bad Batch finale. Oh goodness. I'm really happy with that one. I wrote a sci-fi bittersweet story with flashbacks. That's like my jam. And then the most recent I posted just last Friday, like a couple days ago, was called Rituals and Regrets. And I really like that one too. I did notice a typo in it later when I was reading it after I had posted it, and I was like, darn it. But no big deal, and I'm pretty happy with that one. That one is Sad Gay Prince. It's just that is what it is. But it has like a happy ending. It's like a bittersweet again. I like bittersweet. You can check those out. I will link my Ko-fi down below, and I post all the time there. So if you want to follow me on there too. Short stories. I might actually post Project Eros Chapter 1 on there someday. I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, right now, Chapter 11. I know that I said I was planning to write 2 chapters that afternoon and finish the last chapter that evening, but I actually just ended up doing them all before lunch. Granted, before lunch was sort of more like before 3 p.m., but it was a late lunch and it let me get productive. And yes, technically I didn't write them, I edited them, but I'm still pretty happy with the amount of progress I made yesterday. Because at the time of filming this little voiceover, it is exactly yesterday. I finished editing those 3 chapters, and then I just started editing the vlog. Yesterday was all about editing, and I had a lot of fun. I really love editing vlogs. I have so much fun doing the little montages with the music and the clips. I hope that one day I will be able to have a Patreon where I do monthly vlogs just to get to know me and spend time in my life, and because I love making them. So, let me know down in the comments if you'd be interested in that Patreon. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that your project is going well, and I hope that the insecurity that you feel about it goes away soon. Even though I edited all 3 chapters that I wanted to yesterday, I felt really insecure and bad about them by the time I finished. I don't have experience with it in the way that I have experience with other kinds of stories. When I write a fantasy or a science fiction story, I know how to fill it in and make it feel interesting to me. But with a contemporary story, I feel like everything I'm writing about is so mundane that why would anyone want to read it? But then here I am devouring stories like Heartstopper, which are just cute and cozy romances. I think I'm just being too hard on myself, and hopefully once this book is done and I can go through and do draft 4 and fine-tune everything, I'll be really happy with it. I think I will be, I just have to push through the insecurity. But, yeah, so I have to get to work. Technically I was supposed to be doing that right now, but I decided to film a voiceover instead. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll put some more up on the screen for you to check out if you're interested. And I will see you in the next video. The next video is going to be Pride Month, and I am so hyped. I've got 4 videos planned that are going to be Pride themed, including a Pride themed Project Eros vlog, hopefully. We'll see how that goes. My vlogs always have plans and then they just end up being chaos instead. So we'll see. I hope to see you then. And happy writing. I'll see you on the next page. Till then.